everybody, and welcome to a new episode of The Unusual Suspects. Guys, I said this last week. I might have said it the week before. We have got an absolute banger today. We have some amazing stories. We have some amazing guests. But let me go around first and introduce everybody. We have our regular unusuals. We have Humberto in the house. We have Rob Gargiulo in the house. And one of our newest unusual suspects. Guys, I don't say this as just a bio that I have to read and to know. I've been blessed by God to have met and befriended this guy. He is one of the funniest human beings on the planet all the time. On, off the camera, there's never a dull moment. He's smart as shit. He's hilarious. Guys, he literally quit modeling just to come here. Like, he was on a modeling shoot. Yep. They were like, Bryan, and he said like this, I'm out. And he...
Yep. Well, that picture, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead. And this is Bryan Callen. Bryan, thank you. Thank you.
It's suspense.
Bryan, thank you.
And that picture that you see up there is what I look like in person. And right now, I have thinned my hair a little bit, and I've dyed it gray because I'm playing an older version of myself in my biopic.
Yeah.
So it's you're playing you in the biopic.
Also, to keep it fair for the other guys out there.
Poet. What?
Athlete poet?
Keep it fair for the regular guys. You're too good looking that it...
You know, I have a lot of symmetry. And there's no wasted space when it comes to my torso, my body. So,
and can I ask you an honest personal question before I introduce? Because I want them. They already saw him, but what do you, like on a regular basis when you're out, market, mall, you're with your whatever,
right.
And women that are married with their men see you. How hard is it to keep them off? Like, do you have security?
It's not what happens. It's what happens is I have to wear an extra absorbent shirt because they weep.
Yeah,
they weep.
Who, your family or them?
Them.
So women go like they cry like Michael Jackson when people would see Michael Jackson.
That's what happens, and they tear up my clothes.
I've also heard allegedly they have an extra pair of panties.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Well, I wish that was the case. In fact, my friend with a straight face recently said to me, he goes. And he's just a guy, and he goes, you're not a very attractive dude, so you wouldn't know. And he was being dead serious. I was like,
said that to you.
Like literally, to you. Yeah, he was like, but that guy's living a different lifestyle. I mean, you're not like the best looking guy or anything. You're not a very attractive guy, but some guys like get a lot of that attention. I was like, I didn't say a thing. I just kind of clocked it. I was like, you're kind of right, but damn, that kind of hurts my feelings.
Well, Bryan, I love you to death, and thank you for being here.
It's good to be here on The Unusual Suspects.
Oh, you're one of the most unusual ones. And guys, is this your first time on here?
First time.
Adam Sosnick from the Saucecast. He's a friend. He's freaking amazing. Where'd you just get back? You just got back from Washington.
I was in D.C.
How was it?
I was with you-know-who. Biden. He was asleep.
Biden.
Joe.
He bestowed upon him that gold chain, which is almost
you got
100%
the gold chain from dude, I'm so... well, dude, I can't ask for anything more.
Can I do you a favor? Because I love you.
Yeah.
You got a little schmutz on your face, guy.
What is that?
You little...
Was it schmutz?
I can't have my guy having... Can I eat this?
No, don't eat it.
My bad.
But anyway, guys, so I'm going to go down the stories. We have a lot, and then we'll get right into it. Rob's going to be talking about your boy, Joe Biden.
Your boy.
Your boy, Joe Biden. I hate when people do that. Your boy. It's like, like we're best friends.
Your boy, Kevin Spacey. Oh, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, he talks about that bit every single time that I bring your name up. All right, guys, we're going to talk about Finding Your Roots, a show on PBS. It's freaking amazing. Have you seen any of it? Guys, they bring on people to find out who their ancestors are, and it'll blow your mind who and what they found out. We're going to talk about Jurassic World, this show on Netflix, which has some really weird stuff in it. Adam's going to talk about woke women, especially woke white women. Humberto, what are you going to be talking about?
Helicopters.
And
how they
guys,
explode.
he loves them. He needs them. He loves them. And we might even talk about Javier Milei. But before we get into the stories, guys, as you guys all know, I know some people get mad. They're like, what? Some guys like, why are you guys promoting Minect? It's not like you guys own that. I go, no, Patrick owns the app. If there was a stat, if you cold email somebody, there's a 1% chance of them getting back to you. If you Instagram or social media.
DM, I think
it's too much. LinkedIn, whatever. If nobody knows you, they're not going to get to you. The Minect app, you're paying for people to respond and engage. I think the engagement rate is 94%. If you want to talk to any of us, video conference call or anything, there's our Minect. That's my Minect. Anything about anything, comedy, life, sobriety, God, military, hit me up right there. Bryan Callen is on there, guys. Writing, ideas, commercials, philosophy. Guys, I'm being dead serious. This guy will blow your freaking mind. Adam is on there. If you want to talk about what? It's very attractive. You look good, dude. That's one of your best photos. Very attractive. Anything about business, politics, chicks, Miami. Adam is there. Rob Gargiulo. Rob, I thought we were going to change that photo. We're going to change it soon. Rob,
January 6th, Insurrection.
That's right.
Cheers. All three.
That's
Either
right.
one.
Hanging out with brown men.
Adderall, whatever you want to talk about.
Anything.
Hanging out with brown men. There it is right there.
There it is.
And Umberto. Umberto's over there, guys.
Who's that?
If you
Well,
want to
that's
talk
me.
about...
What are you talking
No,
about?
who's the guy in the photo?
That's
Umberto.
me.
No, I know you're here.
Like, but 50
Who's the guy in the
pounds
photo?
earlier.
If you want to talk about anything from,
That's you?
from
Yeah, that's
overthrowing
me.
governments, from
Stop
anything,
it.
and Kelly Arnold. Kelly's on there as well. Anything behind the camera, in front of the camera, editing, production. She's your girl. Trust me, hit up Kelly. You won't be sorry. Okay, first story we're going to go over. Oh, and there's a competition, guys, which is about to be done in 8 days. I might be a day late. Well, Rob Gargiulo.
May I just throw a plug in quickly?
go ahead,
I
Kelly,
am
go to Rob.
I am tied for third place with 72 Minex in the middleweight division. And look at me, I like dinner. So please help me out by connecting with me so I can go to dinner and have cigars with Patrick Bet-David.
Beautiful. All right, guys.
He
we're gonna-
deserves it. I got to give this guy a plug on his own plug.
Yeah,
Thank
we're,
you.
We're going to get
It's
right
the
into it.
backbone of PBD podcast.
Rob Gargiulo has something to say about Adam's boy, Joe Biden.
Did you guys see Joe Biden's speech this week at the NAACP event in Detroit?
Memorized it.
Yeah, well, he did it. It filled with blunders. So many, in fact, that the New York Post wrote this article. If you could pull the article up, Kelly. White House makes 9 brutal corrections to Biden's NAACP Detroit speech. The speech happened on Sunday, and throughout the speech, Biden had several gaffes, some of them minor. Okay. He meant to say have, and he said are. Like, he forgot the P in NAACP. Yeah. He's 86. Yeah. So some of those
He's not 86. I think he's 96. No,
oh, he's 82, but he'll be 86 if he wins again at the end of the 4 years.
Yes. God help us.
So he clearly...
Did he say the one word that he's been instructed not to say?
Which one is that?
Starts with N.
No, he didn't. No,
I think he's clear. No. He said that back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah,
apparently,
if you
I'm talking about newcomers for immigrants.
Yeah, no,
where'd you guys go?
No, we went there because he said it.
Talking about the newcomers.
Because he did.
Yeah,
I mean, he said some pretty racy
the newcomers
things in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Callen?
He's got a stutter, you know. He suffered from a really bad stutter as a kid.
And he's overcome
You guys
that.
are making fun of somebody with an impediment.
Don't cry. Well, hold on, the 2 aneurysms doesn't help. But go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Well, okay. I could get the stutter. There are some of those where I see and I go, yeah, the guy has a stutter. I get it. We'll play one of those, in fact. But he messes up certain things, like saying that he was the vice president of the United States during the COVID pandemic. Now, I think we'd all remember the COVID pandemic, right?
It was Mike Pence.
Yeah, correct. Mike Pence was in office at that point, but Joe Biden was. Here's some of the corrections that the New York Post highlighted that they had to make. One of which includes he meant to call them insurrectionists and he called them erectionists. And we'll play a clip of some other people making that mistake in just a second. But I'd like to go to the first clip, if we could. The first clip of Joe Biden. Here he is, Sunday, accepting the NAACP award in Detroit, where he talks about being president during or vice president during the COVID-19 pandemic.
And when I was vice president, things were kind of bad during the pandemic. And what happened was, Barack said to me, go to Detroit and help fix it. Well, poor mayor, he spent more time with me than he ever thought he was going to have to. God love you.
God love you. Not one person in that audience, even the mayor who's sitting right there, went, whoa, what?
Yeah, you don't do that when the president's talking. Yeah. You just kind of go.
Yeah. But I mean,
right?
it just drives me crazy. Like, nobody checks him, and that's why he gets away with it. And nobody ever goes, wait.
Well, Republicans are going like this.
I think they correct him too much.
You
like,
think?
who made the 8 corrections? If I was president, I would get them fired immediately. Like, why are you correcting me? I'm the leader of the free world.
Yeah, nobody talked.
Wait. Actually,
you know what's funny about Biden
huh?
is if you actually talk to insiders in Washington, he was always really well liked. So he comes from an era when Democrats and Republicans, remember, their kids would play on the same sports leagues. They all went to school there. Yeah. They'd all meet. And so when they weren't in session, it was like they'd go to barbecues, they'd all hang out, they'd talk. Now now it's become so divided. But Biden was also known as it, like, if you judge him by today's left, he was right because he was always super moderate. Like, actually, if you look, and a lot of people talk about the fact that he's still that way, but he pays lip service to the left. So they were like, if you look at what the left is asking him to do, he goes, yes, yes, yes. But then they were like, point to one piece of legislation where he actually follows through on their request. It's kind of an interesting thing. So, because I'm usually pretty critical of him, you know, especially because he seems to have been hijacked by this ideology. Yeah. But they were like, yeah, he says this, that, and the other thing. But if you actually look at the laws he passes, he doesn't really play ball.
Really?
That's interesting. So,
Go ahead, Rob.
Well, so messing up and calling them erectionists instead of insurrectionists. He's 82.
That's
These
just
things happen.
comedy.
Yeah. Take a look at this clip. Here's a clip of a bunch of people messing up. Instead of calling the insurrection an insurrection, here's a.
Oh, is that Adam Schiff, the guy I can trust?
A whole bunch of them.
Is Adam Schiff the truth teller?
Yeah, calling
this is the guy
it
that
an
loves
erection.
All right, go ahead.
Into inciting an insurrection, which he did.
They said he participated in an erection, and I have to. And it's insurrection.
If they believe Donald John Trump incited the erection.
Let's talk about the fact that
Is that music going to kill us?
I've seen it. She laughs.
Yeah.
Cut that music.
Maybe that too.
Who has been impeached for inciting the insurrection at the
They all
U.S.
love
Capitol.
erections.
We understand that the former
Insurrection, and I have to say, I got up at 5 this morning to do Casey Hunt's show, and I'm exhausted. So,
5 in.
Yeah, you can talk about that too, I guess.
Maybe we should talk about that too.
Oh,
The president incited an insurrection. Maybe we should talk about the fact that the president,
So
I gotta tell you,
listen, it's a common mistake. I get it. So it happens. People flub up, and Biden has blunders. He's no different than anybody else. There is this video of him trying to pronounce the PACT Act in New Hampshire on Tuesday. Could we play this clip real quick, Kelly?
Okay.
After I signed the PAC Act into law, I handed the pen.
tough word, PAC Act.
The PACT Act is tough to get out.
He looks more and more like he's made of wax.
Yeah.
Like if you were a conspiracy theorist and you told me that that's actually not Biden, but just like a puppet that they made in Boston Dynamics, I'd be like, well,
Adam asked Vinny a very legitimate question earlier this week on Pat's podcast. He goes, "How many Bidens are there?" And Vinny, what was your answer?
I listen to me. I'm a pretty listen. Unlike Alex Jones, I'm not joking.
where are we going with this one, buddy?
Alex Jones, the
Come on, buddy.
whole Connecticut school was it?
yeah.
Oh,
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook.
That whole thing.
Guess what? I never went there. I would never go there. But the majority of the shit that this guy said about the government and what they did with COVID and 9/11 and all that, the guy is right, okay? I'm just saying, my kind of weird out there moment is, especially with that CIA girl that came out and she said she was in the White House with, I forgot which president, Reagan or somebody, or she was a CIA operative. She had the mask on, and she was like, do you know that we have these things for the CIA that we have masks? And he's like, yeah, right. And she started ripping off.
That was Obama.
It was Obama. Ripping off the mask. He's like, no, what are you doing? It's so real, and I wouldn't put it past. There's 2 videos of Biden side
Called
by
a
side.
sand mask. For
Well, I
us,
mean, even, like,
for
and
us in the assassination business.
Because you know. 'cause you're on the inside.
Literally a sand mask.
But come on,
And it comes on your face.
You can look like anybody you want.
But look, and if you think that technology doesn't exist, take a look at Johnny Knoxville in Bad Grandpa, where he dresses up and like legitimately goes out and fools people in person to pretend, and that's Hollywood.
Yeah.
So imagine the different technology and that the government has access to.
Brian, is it feasible that somebody like that? Because I've seen. There's one video when he was on Air Force One, bro. I know we were being funny with the wax thing. It didn't look like him at all.
It's possible.
His chin was weird, like his mask was falling off.
Possible. He always sounds like he's saying his last words on a battlefield. Yeah, doesn't he? He's always like, my God. This is the most important thing I'm originally gonna get some ice cream. What'd you say? You know, it's just he glitches like he's dying. Doesn't he sound like he's dying all the time?
Yeah.
But Vinny, wouldn't they pick a better guy?
No, because by the way, I think we talked about this today. He's doing exactly what they want, bro. On the Democrat report card, he's killing it. Hey, Biden. Open the border, leave the trans stuff the way that it is. Dude, what hasn't he done right for the far left?
Win polls. That's what it comes down to, and it looks like I get what you're saying. Yeah,
His policies are winning.
He's
for
doing
them.
well. Yeah, he's giving them lip service, but when it actually comes down to the polls across the country, in the 5 out of the 7 swing states, Trump's winning right now. He doesn't stand a chance. And I didn't hear the term "too big to ignore" until yesterday, or it was "too big to rig." Too big to rig is now the Trump slogan for 2024. It's too big to rig.
I don't know about
Too
that.
big to rig.
We'll see. Yeah, independents are notoriously hard to pin down. Independents usually hang the phone up when they're polled. And that's what a lot of people aren't. The people that actually answer polls have already made up their mind. So it's a very, very, that's why polls are always a little bit off. And I think the biggest liability for Democrats is the border, the economy. If the economy is doing well, it's different. The biggest liability for Republicans is abortion. And that has played a way bigger role than people thought. Way bigger, because women, especially young, educated women, and a lot of the women are galvanizing that vote, and they're losing. That's why they're losing all these states. So it's going to be a very contentious thing. So it comes down to those little nitty gritties. People keep saying, but Trump will win the Electoral College. Maybe. We'll see. If the economy's doing well, a lot of people, especially independents, go, I don't want to rock the boat. He's under all these indictments. I don't know what's going on. There are a lot of people that dislike Trump but like his policies. They don't like him as a person, but they like his policies,
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I'm not as optimistic. Sorry to piss on you.
No, well, because I'm interested to see if you guys actually think Biden will be the nominee. The reason I asked that is because what we started this conversation with was John Kasich, former Republican governor of Ohio. If you could pull up the article, this is from the Daily Mail 5 days ago. Political analyst reveals why he thinks there may be a secret plot underway to replace Biden as the Democrats' presidential candidate.
Kamala?
He didn't even say.
Kamala would die. Kamala, there would be I believe legally, it has to be Kamala, doesn't it?
Oh, if he
dies in office, yeah.
If he steps down,
but not to run.
Can he resign?
I think if he decides not to run, I think the automatic candidate is Kamala. Can you?
Well,
look
that's even scarier for them to have her.
Oh,
as
she would
candidate.
never.
That's
beat
only
Trump.
if she would finish his first.
She wouldn't win her own state,
but anyone could run for the second time. I'm just going to go rapid fire right here for everything you guys just said here. Number one, interesting to know that your barometer of where you stop your stories is Alex Jones, Sandy Hook. All right, I'm not going to go there.
I would never.
But
go
I'll anywhere about that. So I got a Justice. I got a big. I got an insurrection going on in my pants.
He's Quadzilla.
Sorry. So look, I actually find myself in a very interesting place politically, where I don't think many people are. And some of you might say, yeah, I don't think so. I'm in a place right now, registered independent, but I've never voted for a president, Republican president, ever. I've only voted for a Democrat. My dad was a JFK guy, Clinton guy. It's safe to say the Democrats have completely moved the goalposts. Republicans have gone. Republican Party doesn't exist anymore. If you're an establishment Republican, Bush, Romney type, you've been chewed up, spit out. Good luck to you, Liz Cheney. Yeah. Good luck to you, Adam Kinzinger. It's the MAGA Party at this point.
Done deal.
So I find myself in a very interesting crossroads right here, where everyone knows publicly in 2020, I bet PBD and everyone that would bet me that Joe Biden was winning the election.
And you won thousands.
And I won tens.
A lot of
I
money.
won thousands on air, boom. Because I said it in 2020, dude, a ham sandwich could have run against Donald Trump at that point, and a ham sandwich could have won.
Yeah.
A non-pork eating Jewish or Muslim would have been like, I'll take the ham sandwich. Yeah. That's how much people were just over Trump. But 2020 is different. I always talk about not clinging to exactly where you are and actually evolving and actually soaking information. Now we have two different case examples and case studies of what the two have done. And a lot of people, I think, gravitate towards the personality of the president. But Callen hit it. What are the policies? And people don't, 80% of people are more personality driven, and most people are, 20% of people are more policy driven. Policy is tough. Policy wonk. Did you read the pages? No, I just saw the tweet.
Yeah.
So I find myself in an interesting situation where I actually don't give a fuck about either of these guys. I'm not like, you see what Biden did today? Fucking idiot. See what Trump did today? Hate you. I don't care. I care about America. I often say I'm a money guy. I don't care about the red. I don't care about the blue. I care about the green. I've said publicly, I can't vote for Biden again. Yeah. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Will I vote for Trump? Maybe. And you're talking to somebody who would refuse to vote for Trump in 2016 and 2020. That's a little canary in the coal mine. If me saying, I don't know about this guy,
that's fair.
I would never vote for him. And now I'm like, yeah, I would. I'm very interested in seeing what RFK does here. But here's where I draw the line. And this is where we disagree. I just think there's one Joe Biden. We've done the replacing Biden Joe.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about them replacing Biden story until November 5th. And guess what? Bottom line is they're riding with Biden for good or for bad.
Nobody ever talks about this. If you want to change the political system, if you want candidates that you can stomach, then you got to vote in. Anybody fill in the blank? You got to vote in.
Third party candidate?
The primaries.
Oh, the primary.
Nobody votes in the primaries.
Well, you can only be voting in the primary if you're a registered Republican or Democrat. I can't vote in the primaries because I'm a registered independent.
And if that's the case,
I've tried.
Then what happens is only the most fanatical people will push their status quo candidate. So it's adorable that you have your JFKs and your RFKs and you have your Andrew Yangs and all that's adorable. And a political operatives just look at you and go, that's so cute. Our guy's in. Our gal's in, because that's called the primaries. We know who's going to win the primaries. Fundraisers know who's going to win the primaries. So again, you got to educate yourself onto the nitty gritty and the actual inner machinations of what goes on in the American political process. As long as all of us stay home during the primaries, we will always have candidates that are probably not going to represent us. They are going to be entrenched power brokers. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It's like campaign finance reform as well. You know, the way campaigns are financed, the way you spend, 60% of your day as a congressman in your car, off government grounds, raising money.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, and who are those people? You better vote. Your fundraiser will give you a list of people to call, and you call those people. And you better vote lock and step. They'll tell you no, but you're going to vote somewhere along that hip and hip, knee and knee. Otherwise, you ain't getting money the next time around. And your fundraiser will tell you that.
So I love you're so spot on. I just came back this morning. I flew in. I was in D.C.
Yeah.
I go every year to this exact same meeting where finance and politics collide. We're there to essentially have a day of talking. This is how I met PBD at these types of meetings in 2012. I go to these meetings. I used to go every month. Now I go, quarterly at this point. But this every year in DC, there's this, these PACs, these types of situations. The insurance lobby PAC puts it all together, where the financial services committee meets with all our Congress people, and we go to the Hill. We walk down to the Hill together as the financial services industry, and we get them to not as insurrectionists, but you never know. You never know. If they change the tax code, I could see things going crazy here, because that's what we're essentially there for, to keep insurance tax-free, not taxing the death benefit, not to get too policy wonkish. But we're out there meeting our Congress people and their chief of staff and all their little,
subordinates,
constituents.
I'm sorry.
And dude, these guys got no clue about what's going on. And it's just man after woman after woman. I'm just like, so tell me what life insurance is. Really? What the stock market is. They don't know. And by the way, if this is the financial services, then they're meeting with big oil. Then they're meeting with big pharma. Then they're meeting with the energy people. Then they're meeting, these Congress people and their subordinates don't know shit. So whoever's cutting the biggest check, the lobbyists, whatever, that's who they're going to vote with. And it's just, you're seeing how the sausage is made, and you're wondering what the hell's going on here. And to your point about Congress people and primaries, this is the difference between the House and the Senate. Famously, you know the Federalist Papers, John Jay and Madison, way more than I do. Reference to Bryan Callen right there. But the Senate is supposed to be the cooling saucer in Congress. Let cooler heads provide. But the House of Representatives, they're representing districts.
That's very close to the people.
And that's where you get the AOCs.
Well, that's very close to the people, right?
Exactly.
That's why we have a refined democracy, because the people vote. They vote. Well, the bill is introduced, into the House, and what it does actually, when the bill comes to the House, it's got to go to a committee and then a subcommittee.
Yeah, all
you understand?
So it gets filtered.
Yes, there's a committee and there's a subcommittee, and a lot of times, if your bill is now in the Appropriations Committee,
here we go,
instead of this other committee, it means it's dead. It means, and they're going to go, we don't have the money for it. It's a great idea. We don't have the money for it. So many of these things become. So that's why the Speaker of the House and things. This was explained to me very recently by Nick Freitas on my podcast.
Which Nick?
Nick Freitas. Do you know who he is?
Not Nick
Fuentes.
He's a
not Nick Fuentes.
from
Virginia.
Not an
Virginia.
insurrection.
Not the Nazi guy on
No.
This guy's great. I love that channel.
Allegedly
Nazi.
Nazi. I'm not saying that
Nick
either.
Freitas, you guys should have him on, man. You should have him on. He's a former Green Beret.
Sign
So
him
smart.
up. We got our agent over there.
And
Amazing.
he started with fatherhood content.
Amazing guy.
He's an
All right, so what
amazing
about-
guy.
I love the guy.
Go ahead. Sorry,
And he
Mr.
was
Callen.
explaining explain to us how the real process works, the nitty gritty.
How the sausage is made.
Dude, and it goes through a committee, then a subcommittee.
Oh, yeah.
Then if it gets through a subcommittee, then it'll be voted for on the House. Then it goes to the Senate. The wise men of the Senate then say, let's take a look at this. Is it work? Does it work? Then it has to be screened by the Supreme Court. It can be sued. It can be brought up and said this is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court shuts it down. It finally goes to the governor or the president, depending on state or federal level, and the president then will finally sign it into law. But the president, remember, has veto power as well.
Yeah.
So
Oh, God,
it
the
takes.
process is
It's
brilliant.
a beautiful
This is just an 8th grade
process.
civics class right here.
It's so true,
that
though.
every other kid in America
You
would
got to
probably
know
fail.
this. You got to know this.
Because if you don't know, they're going to keep getting away with murder. And the system will never change.
Yeah.
Rob, you have something else?
Well, we'll end with
Speaking of getting away with murder, Hillary Clinton, what she... Sorry about that.
We'll end
Allegedly...
on this with John Kasich. So this is, again, why we started this conversation.
Yeah.
John Kasich believes that there's a secret plot. He went on MSNBC to speak about this, where he says that there's a secret plot in the Democratic Party to replace Biden due to his public blunders as well as his low polling.
Okay.
Kelly, if we could play this clip real quick.
The fact that the economy is not turning, the fact that people are saying it's a terrible economy for them, the fact that they have said they don't have any confidence that Joe Biden can fix it. His public appearances have not been very good, and now they've agreed to 2 debates, which is out there as you can get. I'm starting to wonder. I've talked to a lot of Democrats. They didn't tell me this, but I'm starting to wonder if there's a real possibility that Joe Biden will not be the Democrat nominee. I'm starting to wonder about it.
Governor, where is this coming from?
It comes from the fact that I've talked to a lot of people, and I see what these numbers are like, Jose.
That's the clip. We're good.
Can I? Zero credibility with this mother sucker.
Really?
Who'd you speak to? I've spoken to people.
Yeah.
What did they tell you? They told me some stuff. I'm starting to think.
Well, yeah, it's
based on what.
It's
do you
like
know?
my credible source.
Do you know actually who John Kasich is and was?
Yeah.
Do you remember his story?
Yeah.
Great governor, Ohio, during 2016, during the Republican national debates and everything that was going on, he was the last man standing against Trump.
Yeah.
He took down Little Marco and low energy Jeb and horse face Carla Finorino.
Yeah. Well,
bing,
his
bing,
state
bing, bing,
was
ding,
crushing
ding,
it.
ding, bing. He was the last man left.
Yeah.
And I actually said, I remember being like, that's your establishment guy. That's the guy that if you're a true Republican, you're going to vote for, not Trump. The next day he was out of the race.
Do you know what the rumor
He hasn't
about
been
it?
relevant since 2016.
Yeah.
If there's anybody that doesn't have insight on what's going on the Democratic side of things, it's the guy who hasn't been relevant in Republican politics, much like politics in general, in 8 years.
If he gets acquitted in this hush money scandal, this trial that's going
Which
on
I
in
think
New York
he
right
will.
now,
Trump,
he
you're
will.
talking about.
If he gets acquitted, or if the charges are knocked down to a misdemeanor or whatever, because the judge is clearly very biased against Trump, wants Trump in jail. But if he gets acquitted, the other cases don't go to trial until he's in office.
Yes.
And they are banking on him getting convicted here because they can really use that. But there's a liberal panic here because they're like, if it doesn't look like a good case, it never was a good case. It never was a good case. I mean, Bragg, nobody else would have touched this case, but Bragg was
so
like, "I'll do this."
weak, Callen, and you know it. You said it
Every-
earlier.
What do you mean?
It's so weak. Again, I'm gonna let you guys take it. I'm at a place where I literally feel like I can be an umpire, balls and strikes.
Yeah.
I'm not on Team Trump.
That's a good place to
I'm
be.
definitely not on Team Biden. I'm generally like, yeah, I agree with you there. He's wrong. He's right. Trump killed it on that one. Not funny, Biden. It's such a sham operation what's going on with this Stormy Daniels hush money gag order. And
Every one of
everyone
them.
knows it. Michael Cohen just got exposed as a thief and as a corrupt, as a criminal, and that's their star witness.
Yeah, but mind you, it's
Dirtbag.
So, and Adam, as a guy that was never a child, I get it, but seeing what you're seeing with what you're talking about, it's on all from 2016, from the Russia shit to the fake impeachments to now. It proves that they're all connected. All the judges, all the fucking, all those people that are appointed by George Soros, all those Alvin Braggs, all those Letitia James, bro, they're ignorant in my point of view, but they're very good at taking. I hate when people go, Well, it's the law. It's the law. You can screw anybody over with the law. It's how you bend it.
I never say 0% innocent, 100% guilty. I never say that. There's levels to this thing.
Yeah.
Right? This was their weakest case. And this is what they went with.
It really is. I think, you know what?
The strongest case, I think, is Georgia. Because it's a Republican governor, are Republican people that run the state there. On camera, find me the 11,000 votes.
That's the insurrectionists?
No.
That's the tampering of the votes.
That's the vote. That, to me.
Yeah, that's.
That. But I don't think you're going to get to that.
Yeah.
The insurrectionist thing.
You're not going to get to that, and guess what? I think I don't know the left's tactic, but they're not realizing you keep pouring gasoline on a fire. His popularity is getting bigger, and I'm telling you right now, the people, and this might be a setup from the left, they're not going to take it much longer, bro.
I don't know if his popularity is getting bigger.
What do you mean?
Oh, it is. Do you see what Bronx did yesterday?
Hear me out. Tear this argument down.
Yeah.
I just think that it's enraging the 42% of America, his base, even more. So I love Donald Trump 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10. The independents are still deciphering.
Yeah, I think
the people that are never Trumpers aren't.
I tell you what I think these elections come down to. I really do. I think the reason Obama, after 8 years, I think the reason Trump beat Hillary had everything to do with the fact that the average American had $500 in the bank.
Yep.
And that if you had one thing go wrong, you were in deep trouble. And when you're a parent, when you're a voter, and you can't put your kid in an after-school program, when $100 means everything to you, and you're watching these other people make all this money, and you're watching a whole group of people that are dictating policy, pay no price for being wrong, have no skin in the game, where every decision I make counts, is make or break for me, that's when you have somebody who comes along and says, the system's rigged against you, they're all scumbags, I'm your guy, I talk like you, I work in construction, and that's why Trump won. And I think that's what elections are won on a lot of times. They're won on the person that can win that argument, which is you are worse off 4 years today than you were 4 years ago. Why is that, and who's to blame? Here are the reasons. Yep. Bang, bang, bang. And the truth is, I know how much a carton of milk costs, and so do you, because a carton of milk makes a huge difference. When the price of a carton of milk goes up $3, it doesn't mean a thing to them. They don't notice. They can't tell you how much it is. You can. And that's what it's
Can I give you a little pushback here?
Because I got to move on.
Yeah.
The ironic thing is that you're saying a billionaire who lives in Trump Tower is saying, I know what it's like with a carton of milk. No, he doesn't.
No. Do you remember what he said?
He's relating. But just like Obama did the exact same thing 8 years prior to Bush.
Yeah.
The economy, the wars, the everything.
Yeah.
So
Trump leaned into it. Trump's in the American dream. Because when they said, do you think that Mitt Romney's it's a liability for Mitt Romney because he's so rich? And Trump goes, he's not rich. I'm rich.
You know what?
You just won.
Absolutely right, because Romney was ashamed of being rich.
I got to go.
No. I need to call out Adam. I'm so sick and tired of the whole independent bullshit, Adam. Like the amount of suffering that Biden has put the American public in because of his weak border policy. Like
Are you even American? Can you even vote?
I don't give.
Why are you talking?
I came here legally. Like every single dead American is a tragedy. And the second thing, his war policy. Like I'm against war all over.
I'm not defending Biden, but who are you critiquing?
We can't have
the Afghanistan
Are you critiquing American independence?
Yeah, the Afghanistan debacle was a disgrace.
The Afghanistan debacle, the Israel thing could have been avoided.
Right now?
I'm critiquing anyone that is giving like serious thought to electing a guy that is willing to go to war every single time, that has no brain cells left. Like, it's embarrassing. We laugh about it. I feel bad laughing about it because it's not even funny anymore. He's not even there.
If you're trying to do a personal attack, cool, great. I'm cool with that. I've already said I can't vote for Biden. So if you're attacking the tens of millions of Americans who are independents that vote Republican and Democrat each time around, then it shows, because you're actually smart, it shows that you have no clue about the history of America, because you could have never voted for a Republican after Bush in 08.
I'm not saying Republican. I'm not playing that game.
Yeah.
He's going to be 86 when he gets out of office. We've seen the last 4 years. Like it's like anyone.
Yeah, that's a huge liability.
Listen to me. This happens everywhere. This happened in Colombia, and they elected a guy that was running with the narcos. This happened in Brazil. They elected a guy that was in prison when they were going to elect him. So we need to go like broader than parties you know, like we need to start thinking about who the person is and what he's doing. You know, like it's bigger than left and right. It's bigger than Democrat and Republic. You can't elect a guy that is not all there. Like, it's just crazy talk.
Well, I'm going to give you pushback, and then I got to go. You're taking your beef up with the wrong people. If anything, you should be showing respect to the independents, because those are the people who are actually going to move the needle. Those are the people who voted for Bush, then voted for Obama, then voted for Trump, then voted for Biden, and then we'll go back to Trump again, because there's 42% that are fixated on the left, and there's 42% or so that are fixated on the right, and there's 10 to 12% of America that are going to vote one way or another. So if anything, I would encourage the independents to be more open-minded and think more straight. The Democrats are voting one way, Republicans are voting one way. You can't change that. It's fixed in the system. The independents is who need to move their vote.
All right, guys. I love your passion, both of you. We got to move on. All right, next story. Have you seen, so you guys haven't seen the show, Finding Your Roots on PBS. You've never seen it? Rob, have you seen it? Humberto?
Just the clips that we've shown previously.
Okay, so there's a host. His name is Henry Louis Gates. He has a show on there where he basically like goes to people's like 23andMe, but I mean, he goes deep and he gets factual on it. So civil rights activist, he had her on there. Angela Davis was on there. And guys, if you haven't seen this video, he basically shows her, and it's discovered that her ancestors were white colonists, Brian, who arrived in America on the Mayflower. And yes, they owned slaves. Kelly, this is like one of those, oh shit, oh my God.
Clip of the week.
Clip, show it.
Oh, wow.
Any idea what you're looking at? That is a list of the passengers on the Mayflower.
Look.
No, I can't believe this. No. My ancestors did not come here on the Mayflower.
Your ancestors came on the Mayflower.
No.
You are descended
No.
from one of the 101 people who sailed on the Mayflower.
Oof.
Yeah, I can see it.
That's a little bit too much to deal with right now.
Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think that you may have descended from people who laid the foundation for this country?
Never.
And just explain who she is exactly.
Angela Davis is a civil rights activist, ex-Black Panther. She's one of the, you know, and I respect the hell out of her for, you know, for standing up for Black people and rights. But I mean, and pushing now for reparations for Black people. It's like, I mean, technically, you owe it to them, to your.
It's like the calls coming from inside the house.
But that woman's of a certain age, and I'm going to tell you this right now, as somebody who is 57. Give them a second to take that.
And he looks great.
No, but that woman is at a certain age where I promise you, she grew up in a very, very racist country.
Huge.
And so that's a fact, because I remember it, you know, and we've made huge strides, but she has a very different consideration for how, you know, when you grow up and you watch your parents humiliated, you watch your parents with no power, you watch your parents with no way to go anywhere. It is impossible to be Angela Davis and not have a huge chip on your shoulder and see the world very differently. Sure. So then you find out but that is America. America. So when you own slaves, when a slave owner owned slaves, there was a whole bunch of rape and all kinds of stuff going on.
Oh yeah, horrible.
There was a lot of hanky panky in general. Yep. Also, it wasn't just rape. It was also like, you can't be around other human beings. I don't care what color they are. And you spend all that time together, sparks fly, you fall in love. Jefferson had a Black mistress who was in love with. This stuff is going to happen. That's why, for the most part, if you look at a lot of Black Americans and you compare a Black American, for example, to say someone like Don Lemon to somebody from Nigeria, it's a very different pigmentation. There's a lot of white blood and a lot of different blood in all of us. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of intermixing. God bless, by the way. God bless.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I love it. But that's got to be heavy.
That's heavy. And it's like, bro, the Mayflower.
But like, that goes to show you that slavery, human beings have taken slaves throughout our history. Our history.
Oh, everybody.
And it's still happening.
Now, chattel slavery may be a little bit different, certainly racial slavery, but not so anyway. The Middle East, Africa, there was
China.
Slave trade. All over. It's been going on forever. And this still is.
That's trippy. And then, by the way, one of my favorite shows out there, I mean, it doesn't get better than this show, The View.
Yeah.
I love it.
Let me
We all
explain
love
something.
it
The
here.
best.
Yeah.
I mean,
Where I get all my information.
I get all my information, my
Whoopi.
voting.
Sonny.
Whoopi, who, by the way,
She's
has
just been talking about her sex life a lot more, Whoopi Goldberg.
has she been really?
I got an insurrection going on.
Yeah, if you didn't want to vomit anymore.
No.
But I think this is the most angriest, most bitter group of people. So when I see something like this, it actually brings joy to me because these people are just spitting hatred and divisive attitudes every single day to liberal, unhappy women all day. So it kind of made me happy. This is the moment where Sunny Hostin,
The privileged American.
yeah. She finds out, Brian, that her family owns slaves. Kelly, can you play this one?
No way.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think
pretty.
I was. My family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Brian, and you nailed it. That has to be like, bro, can you imagine standing on that hill, that mountain, just screaming? And every day she's like, black people and reparations. I wonder now that.
Let me tell you something about that girl.
Yeah.
That girl, like that is she's been getting attention from men. That she's been walking into rooms and getting anything she wanted her whole life.
For sure.
So as far as struggle and prejudice and all that, I promise you she knows nothing about it.
At all.
That girl, like right now, she's a killer. She's smart. Yeah. She's got herself this crazy job. She's beautiful. So stop. Listen, you privileged American. My heart ain't breaking. Of course you descend from slave owners. Look at her. Like, that's not surprising.
Pretty privilege, but what happens with pretty privilege, that's going to have an expiration date at some point. I had to learn. I remember in 2020 when we first started doing the Peabody podcast, I got into an argument. I was very, I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm in finance. I like low taxes. I want to keep my money, be smart with your money. Socially, I wasn't sure where I was.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm a dude. I like chicks. I'm not into the whole woke, whatever that is. But I saw Glory as a kid. It changed my life. I'm like, oh my God, like I was fascinated by the Civil War. And I felt like I just rooted for black people.
Yeah.
I did.
You should.
And then okay, but to the point where now I root for the meritocracy. I'm not like, you're black, you should win.
No, I want the best person for the job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All the
so where am
time.
I going with this?
That's how I am.
I remember during the George Floyd stuff, I still had a sense of like, oh, the fucking cops, all right, maybe we should defund the police. I was still there, right? I don't know, George Floyd, I saw the knee on his neck. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't fully like, no, we need the police. This is what's going on. So I remember getting in an argument with a former co-host of ours. And he tried to equivocate, talk about the moral equivalency, especially in maybe the next story, of the black struggle in America. And he's like, well, the Irish, they were slaves too. And I'm like,
not like that.
I was like, relax, bro.
Sorry.
With the Irish slaves.
Sorry, that's a dummy. He doesn't know history.
Okay.
Study
And I was
your
like,
history.
relax, bro. And he tried to convince me. I was like, I'm not buying it. But what I did come to terms with is that everyone, Jews, Christians, Muslims, Asians, the Chinese, the Africans, like every single element of society had or owned or were slaves.
Yeah.
It wasn't unique to America.
Yeah.
And this whole, woke agenda, the 1619 Project, we were founded on slavery, and this is how our country was built, and we need to tear it all down. I'm just not in that camp.
No. And by the way, go ahead, Brian.
I heard a professor, a history professor, he asked his class, when did the civil rights movement in this country begin? Anybody?
What year?
Yeah. Anybody have?
It's a trick question, probably.
It's a trick question.
Because the Civil Rights Act, I think, was passed in 1964.
Yeah.
The civil rights, probably the day that a black slave probably showed up on the coast of America.
Give me some.
That's right.
what I'm talking
Like,
about.
can we just be
And he
equal?
said that
Yeah.
there is no such thing as a slave. There's a human being in bondage, and any human being in bondage wants to get out of bondage.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's just like the reason I believe in democracy, no matter what, is that everyone anywhere, I don't care what your culture, I don't care if you're in Waziristan or anything, everyone everywhere wants at least some say in who governs them. Everyone.
Yes.
And if that's the case, which I think is a human impulse, a primal impulse. I want to know who governs me. Who is that guy telling me what to do? I don't know that dude. I don't know that guy. Why is he telling me he's going to take my house? We all resist. A child, if you try to pull a spoon out of a baby's hand, they're going to grab that spoon harder.
Yep.
And you got to keep that in mind. There are certain things about capitalism, about democracy, about freedom of speech, about freedom of worship, about the things that we all take for granted too often in this country that are, it seems, natural human impulses, rights, compulsion, whatever you want to call it. But the minute you start grading against that and you start trying to equalize the playing field, what that really means is that you need someone in power to be the great equalizer.
Yeah.
And that's another way of saying, I'm going to force you to my will and to the collective will. And what's the big difference between America? What's the one thing we have to preserve? It is that the individual should not be subservient to the collective. The collective cannot supersede the rights of the individual. That's the difference between China and Russia and the United States.
I fully agree with you, but I think this obsession with democracy is different. Like, if it was up to me, I would export the Constitution of the United States. Like, I would export having a constitutional republic, because a constitutional republic has democratic elements to it. But the way the founding fathers set up America, that's what makes it special. It's not the democracy part of it. It's because they were wary of governments. They were wary of, like tyrants.
Yep.
And they wrote that document. Like, it's actually the reason I'm here. Like, I think it's the Bible than the American Constitution.
But can I give you something? I agree with you 100%. It's the great idea of philosophy. But the Constitution itself is not what keeps things the way they are. You know what it is? So the Constitution is a piece of paper. And pieces of paper can be torn up, violated, doesn't matter. What is it that keeps this democracy? What is it that keeps this democracy a democracy?
We the people, right?
Well, it is that the founding fathers knew that the Constitution wouldn't be strong enough. You can't just write a document and have people adhere to it. It won't work. What you have to do is ensure that you organize a government that does not allow power to reside in one place, where it's impossible for one group to hold all the power.
Yes.
And that's why I love when we have these debates. I love that we have AOC, and I love Hawley. I love that when I see them shouting at each other, I'm like, yes, keep it up. When I see people who are conservative going, never Trump, yes, and I see people who say, I love Trump. I want all of it. I want that crazy. I want it to be like the river in the Amazon at night, just an orgy of just death and reproduction and everything else. That's it.
I got to tell you, I learn from you every time I'm around you, because I also learned from him a ton. Vinny, I'm still waiting, but
that's fine. That's fine.
No, I fully agree with you. Everyone thinks, how bad is it right now? It's the worst it's ever been. Well, 1968, when our president was assassinated and MLK was assassinated.
63, yeah.
Sorry, in the 60s.
But 68 was a very, very turbulent
That's
year.
when Bobby Kennedy was assassinated.
The Democratic convention.
The 60s were a fucking mess.
Yep.
And then also, when a mess was, not just the 60s, the 1960s, also the 1860s. We had a little something called the Civil War here, United States. So we've always been this arguing with each other, figuring it out, and the parties have flipped. The Republicans were the Northerners, the Democrats, the Dixiecrats.
Yes.
This constant argument, this battle, is actually a good thing.
Yes.
Because if you don't have that, you have autocracies or theocrats.
And I know we have to move on. Can I get just one more thing to think about for a sec? I want you guys to think about so when you think about American culture is biracial culture. American culture would be a very boring place indeed without the African American experience. And despite slavery and despite what African Americans have gone through, I want you to think for a second about the contribution they have given to our culture. Forget language. Let's take music. The highest American art form is jazz. Jazz and, the blues came out of really black people in the field singing, right? That's crazy. And then we had percussion. Percussion was an African expression that was married to what? The melodic violas of Europe. So you take classical music and you mix it with African music and you get something like jazz, which then, of course, gives birth to what? Rock and roll, baby. And everybody you guys love, everybody who the history of rock and roll. Led Zeppelin was copying. Their heroes were the great black blues singers. That's why English people who had English accents were singing in an American Western accent. They were copying their favorite black artists.
Like Elvis. What about Elvis?
All of it.
Elvis went down to the south.
All of it.
Billie Holiday.
Yes. So what I think
Louis Armstrong. These were the guys.
What I think is amazing is that a lot of the greatest artistic expression. Duke Ellington wrote more music than any, more than Mozart, more than Beethoven, more than anybody. Duke Ellington was writing songs on the hood of his car. When he had cancer, he was still writing songs. So he is one of the greatest composers of all time. All of these people did all of this as second-class citizens, as people who lived in a world where there was almost no future, where they had to go in the back door of a structure to go perform for a white audience.
Wow.
And they did it despite it all, despite all the insanity, despite the fact that it was actually dangerous to be a black person in the South. When you were traveling through the South, you had to plan what gas stations you could stop at to get gas. There were bathrooms you knew you couldn't use. There were places you couldn't stop to eat. It was all that, and despite all that, they created things like jazz, blues, that then gave rise to rock and roll. Where's my music? I need music to swell TV right now.
I know, Brian. I know.
Bro,
Brian, put him
how am I
Brian,
this age? How am I this age?
Brian,
Look
please.
at that.
Brian,
that spread, bro.
Kelly, stay back.
You're gonna make the girls.
You're so rock and roll right now.
Amy, stay back.
You're so rock and roll right now.
Brian,
I will.
Brian, please.
All right, sorry, bro.
Brian,
just don't step to me because my hands are viper quick. You know that.
I know that. And
they're viper quick.
Just to be completely honest, because I do not like lying. You know, I'm a Christian. I'm wearing a cross.
I know.
I go to church. I didn't catch anything that you just said.
I know that.
Because I was looking at you like in awe.
I know, and your nipples got hard because when I talk, you produce estrogen.
I do, bro. And by the way, whoa, where are we? Anyway, and by the way, just in closing, 1,000% agree with you, too.
They're having false pregnancies in the back. I apologize.
I hear a baby crying. Just FYI,
where's my
when it came to slaves coming to the United States, just to throw this out there, I might be a little bit off with the number. The United States only took about 200,000 slaves. Do you know who took the most? Which country?
Yeah.
Brazil. Like 10 million, 12 million slaves. If I'm right. I'm thinking of numbers.
And then mix that African blood with Spanish blood.
Forget it.
Oh God, caramel skin. Not a flat ass to be seen anywhere. Sorry.
All right, everybody.
Sorry.
All right, guys, moving on to the next story. I want to get through these before Brian has to go. Brian has 2 shows tonight at the Dania Beach Improv.
Come on, man.
2 shows. Rob's performing. I'm performing. Dania Beach, 7:30, 10 p.m. Tomorrow, what are the shows?
7 and 9:30.
7 and 9, and then Sunday, one more show.
Oh, Sunday on the Lord's Day at 7.
Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend. All right, guys.
Man.
Next story. I want to see what you guys think about this, Brian.
Early.
Did you guys see the Jurassic World? It's called Camp Cretaceous. Brian, you have kids. So do you, Robert. I want to know. There's a scene in there where 2 young girls are making out. I'm going to have Kelly play here in a second. Despite the sexualization of minors, Netflix did not include a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode. The series is rated TV PG for violence, but never mentions a lesbian kiss between minors. According to the show's IMDb description, the children are teens. However, DreamWorks confirmed that the 2 characters who share the kiss, named Yasmina Yaz Fadula and Sammy Gutierrez, are 15 years old and 14 years old, respectively. I want Kelly to play this, and you guys have kids. I want to get your reaction, and I'm going to go to Rob. Kelly, play the clip, please.
But first, Yaz, you were trying to tell me something before.
What?
Earlier, in the lift, before the Nothosaurus went all crazy. It seems super important.
It was.
Oh,
The truth is, Sammy, I've fallen for you.
Here we go.
Like, hard. Real hard.
Ooh.
I know. I heard you earlier. I just wanted to hear you say it again because I've been wanting to hear you say that since I don't even know when.
14-year-old. Let's go 14-year-old. Right, Kate?
Guys,
Look
Guess what?
Look at Rob in the bushes. Look at Rob in the bushes.
She said hard, real hard, guys. I don't know about you. I'm getting an insurrection.
Brian, I want to go to you first, and I'm going to do a little disclaimer. I can care less about the gay, be gay. I don't care. I have cousins that are gay, friends. Be gay. This is for 14-year-olds. They're watching this type of stuff. You're not, one of the fathers that caught this, Brian, that put it online. He's like, man, I just put the kids to bed. They're obviously they're little. They're like 9-year-olds and whatever. Yeah. They go to sleep, Brian. That's playing. You have you're not watching all these shows. When you see something like that, Brian, what do you think? You have kids, bro.
Yeah, I have kids. I'm always, whenever it comes to like artistic expression, I think to myself, that is a reality. Yes. That does happen. There are kids that age who have those impulses and those feelings. When you're that age, you start to feel deeply. Yeah. There is a subset of the population, call it 3%, whatever it might be, that is gay. From what I have seen, it seems to be what you're born, the way some people are born. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know.
I understand I understand when people feel really uncomfortable because you're traditional, and it's just not something that you want a network to be showing your child. It might be a reality that you want to share with your child first.
I think that's the thing.
And also, it's just like with the trans, with sex, with all that. Who is supposed to educate your child? Are you going to leave the state? Are you going to let the internet? Are you going to let a TV show do that, or do you get to do that? I guess I'm not comfortable with it. But am I being an old school traditionalist? Am I being, I don't know. I guess I'm conservative guy naturally.
So am I.
And I'm traditional.
Yeah.
I'm also old.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, I don't know if that's what I worry about. I definitely worry about gender ideology.
For sure.
I have a huge problem. I believe in two genders, and I think we get into this crazy, crazy world where you can say you're a woman. I am violently against gender affirming care, which is a euphemism for child mutilation and sacrifice, in my opinion, because you're giving those children, it's happening right now. The St. Louis School Children's Hospital is all about giving children puberty blockers, which we have no idea what they do. They interfere with bone density and things like that. Then they go on cross-sex hormones, and then the rest is history. What you're doing when you do that to a child is you can render them sterile for the rest of their life. Certainly if they get that operation, they can never have an orgasm again. All those things. They can't share intimacy. We know kids go through phases. We know that actually real gender dysphoria is slim to vanishing. It is very rare. It's almost always male to female. That's what all the literature says. And this new religion, this new gender ideology is not rooted in science, not rooted in any actual data that you can replicate, is way more ideology than reality and truth. And I am violently against it. I am violently against it.
I love that.
And I've heard people talk about the fact that this all started with the normalization of the gay experience.
Okay, and so goes to that point too, Brian. Like, and again, I feel you. This is one thing that somebody caught on a little show, right? God knows what else is happening, but at like a young age, if there's a 9-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I get it, I think it's up to the parents, especially if they're younger people, and apparently it's happening a lot more. They're very like weird in their bodies. They don't know what the hell's
That's the problem, Vinny. Like, I'm okay with gay. I'm not okay with sneaky gay. You know, like it's sneaky gay. Like lesbian scenes in the right contents are awesome. All for them.
Because we're adults.
All for them.
Yeah,
you know. But when they're trying to sneak in this, there, like even like I'm not against them making content, because like let's say you're one of the kids, like a lesbian girl in the 3%. You're 13. Yeah. You want to be represented, but they should have like content for parents that want to show their kids gay things.
Look, I think at the end of the day, anything sexual like this that is complicated, we've always traditionally had standards and practices. Like when I was anytime I did a TV show, especially back in the 90s, you had a standards and practice person who would be there to say, on Mad TV, I was doing a thing where I was like, I had a Kleenex, they thought I was doing, it looked like I was doing blow. So they're like, we can't do that.
Wow.
So we always had these rules, and there were standards that we all had embraced because we knew that kids were watching this stuff.
That's it.
And we knew we didn't want kids knowing about below. We didn't want kids knowing about the things that adults do in the darkness. And I think that you should protect children, personally. I would rather I would rather we wait on all this stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to see it anyway. Here's the big caveat, guys. You're dealing with the internet. Good luck.
Shit. Well, Rob, because Rob, I'm going to go to you because I want to change topics. But go ahead, Rob.
Well, I think it comes down to weak parenting. That's a big problem in America, is that there aren't parents that are paying attention to what their kids are watching, right? So again, Netflix should
might be working.
Yeah.
I work too, but I have conversations with my children, right? Like when I had the birds and bees conversation with my dad, it wasn't with Miss Schulteis, my 6th grade teacher. It was with my father. My father taught me about this is what happens. This is where babies come from. You're going to learn this course in school. They had to send home a letter that my parents had to sign that allowed me to go to sex ed. So my dad had the conversation before. That's all fine and typical and normal. That should be the way that it goes on. The parents should be informed, and the parents aren't informed here because there was no label on the TV show. I got no problem with 14-year-olds watching this. I have a 14-year-old. You think I don't think my 14-year-old's jacking off around the clock? He is. I did it when I was 14.
Kids in the room,
Listen, my apologies. I forgot. But when I was his age, even now, when my family leaves the house, what do you think I go and do? I do the same thing that my 14-year-old does when the rest of the family leaves the house. It doesn't change. I know
You're still doing it?
Oh, hell yeah, I'm still doing that.
It's his house.
Guys, run the tape.
Yeah.
But the point
Aerial view.
Rob, I'm never shaking your hand
Drone
again.
footage. Go ahead.
Come on,
listen,
Madam.
what it
We all
comes down to
do
is
it.
parents being active in their kids' lives, and I think if you're an active parent, you have these conversations with your kids, then you can defeat it. Because I do believe that there is this push. The hardest thing that we've ever done for me. We did a podcast called The Dark Side of Detransitioning, where we talked to these people, these teenagers who mutilated their bodies, can never have children again. And then what they said was,
Here come the lawsuits.
Here's what happens. The trans community embraces them. You want to make the switch? Yes, you're one of us. Come in. We're going to represent you. We're with you. We'll show you who you can go to. The doctors.
The trans activists. There's no community. It's the activists.
Okay, sure. Those are the people that come in, and then they show you the resources where you can get it done. And then you get this done. You get this medical procedure done. Sometimes in California, parents don't even have to actually go or authorize some of the gender affirming care that these children are receiving. The kids go through the surgeries, they change. Then they find that they don't like being the different gender. Now they're transition, they're unhappy, they're sad, they're depressed. And you know what happens when they start talking about going back and detransitioning, going back to what they were naturally born as? Mm-hmm. The trans activists and community turn on them. I know. How dare you? Yeah. And how dare you? And like, there's a really great. So if you're out there and you're ever like thinking about investigating more in detransitioning, watch that podcast episode. But read the detransitioner subreddit. It is some of the most heartbreaking. We were going through and reading it. Sure. A heartbreaking stories of these people that are now my community that brought me into this is turning their back on me, and now I'm being ostracized by that same community, and my body is mutilated for the rest of my life. It's horrifying to hear. The only way that you can defeat that is having those relationships. How old are your kids?
Those academics.
How old are your kids?
Huh?
How old are your kids?
16 and 12.
16 and 12.
Yeah.
Boy or girl, a 16-year-old?
Girl is 16.
Okay. Did you have these conversations with her in advance?
I try, but she's been educated by she's very she's an intellectual. She's done a lot of reading, and a lot of TikToking and a lot of
TikToking, not good.
And my son, we took the phone away.
That's what you have to do.
Get out of here with that phone, because he's in jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and he's going to be the man I never was, and that's the way it is, or I'll disown him. You know what I mean? That's a different
story.
I'll just give a quick couple points. As far as this video goes, I'm a pretty simple guy. I use the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. I judge things 1 through 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a deal was this thing? I'm like, it's like a 3, 2.
I'm there.
But I appreciate you bringing it up because it gives me a little perspective. Because I've seen some things like, dude, that is a 9.5, 10. What is going on right here? Yep. So this is not that big of a deal. 2 cartoon lesbians kissing. But there's 3 things that are going on in society today that didn't exist when we were growing up. Number 1, the LGBTQ full-on agenda. There was no agenda in the 90s.
No.
Like, we were dealing with AIDS in the 90s. The agenda was eliminate AIDS.
Well, they act like there's a community. I hate this. Like when people talk about the black vote. Yes. You think black people agree? You think you're acting like black people vote as a group?
Identity
go to a barbershop.
Go
talk. You know what? This is white people like saying things like, well, the black vote. The black vote's all over the place, like the white vote. What do you mean by white? What white?
Yeah.
What part of white? You talking about Sicilians
The
like
rich
me?
white? You're talking about the poor
Sicilians?
whites?
You're
You're
talking
talking
about
about
poor
the
whites?
educated
Yeah, you're
whites?
talking about
White looking
You're
Latinos.
talking about the white
Yeah.
guy who actually speaks Spanish for a living?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
the strength of our country is that we are a mix, which is why I believe in cross marriage. Okay.
So
Yeah, for sure.
Fully, but there is an agenda. Whether I'm not talking about politically, there's an agenda in general.
Yeah.
I get
There's
L
an
is different
agenda.
from G, G is different than B, B is different than T. The T's are holding up the L's, the G's, the B's. The whole Dave Chappelle thing. Number one is that. Number two, social media. There was no social media prior to 2010, 2012. I'm talking when Instagram showed up, then everything that after that.
Yep.
Facebook wasn't like social media. It was like, oh, I went to college with that guy. And then the third thing is cancel culture. Like the fact that we can have this conversation. There's a lot of people, I don't like what Rob said.
Yeah.
Callen. So you talk about LGBTQ, you're talking about social media, and it's about cancel culture, and it's cancel culture, and it can be reverse cancel culture. You can be ostracized by your own community.
That's right.
Like you talked about.
Yeah, but
so
the
again, the
pushback's
freedom
real
of
out of it.
expression, freedom of speech is numero uno in America, and let's just.
But the pushback is real, and the pushback's winning.
Yeah, and I love that you said
Tradition's
that.
winning.
We showed a video here, Brian, and I know, dude, when you said violently, I'm in the same boat. You're on one side of the boat, I'm on the other side. We saw this girl, 12 years old. What was it, Rob?
Can't take it. I
bro,
can't even
bro,
look at it.
young girl. She's sitting there, and they're jamming her with, and the parents are holding her.
Oh.
She's screaming and crying, bro. It gets me really emotional. And she's crying because they're shoving puberty blockers in her. The mom's like, it's okay. It's okay. That kid can't do shit on its own. Can't make any decisions. It was 11, I forgot, 11 years old, and the parents are there. The parents need to go to prison, and the doctor not only can never practice ever again, I want them all to be in the same prison cell with people that are going to try to go after them. You are purposely hurting and ruining a kid's life for the rest of their lives because you want to be in the woke in crowd, and those pieces of shit want to make money. The doctors want to make money, and all the pharmaceuticals are going to make money because you got to keep drugging these kids. It's going to be a multi-billion-dollar thing, and I hope to God.
Yeah, but the lawsuits
Parents.
are coming now.
What about
That's
the
what I can't wait
So
for.
the Tavistock Clinic in England was shut down because of this. They had 1,000 lawsuits and counting.
Oh, I love
and
it.
now, of course, what happens is they're like, hey, I was a kid, and your whole talk and you doctors gave me all this, and now I'm going to sue you. And what happens is when a hospital is dealing with 1,000 lawsuits or 2,000 lawsuits, it gets ugly for them.
Yes,
So
it does.
Fuck you. Fuck you guys.
I mean, just to
Fuck
validate
all
what you're
you.
saying before we move on, I remember when under Obama, gay marriage became legal. Prior to that, I think in 2008 when he ran, he's like, oh, I don't know, we've moved so far, right, down the right path,
spectrum,
I
yeah,
say,
yeah.
that, okay, you're gay, cool. No one
nobody
cares.
cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody does
It's
care.
the T stuff. That you were a boy, now you're a girl,
It's not
now you're a
true.
girl.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
That
It's
whole
also,
thing.
it's also your this social contagion. All the psychologists were saying you're gonna take young girls who are already having a hard time emotionally. They might be autistic, they might be emotionally fragile, and because young girls are the first ones to be susceptible. Bulimia, remember bulimia?
Yeah.
Remember anorexia? It's the same idea. I'm trans. now.
Suicidal thoughts?
And now you've got 30% of these girls in
teenagers?
school saying I'm trans. Of course that happens because it's something to do.
Yeah.
And it gets crazy. And that's what happens. They all predicted it. It happened. It is happening. And once again, if you're a doctor that does this, if you're a psychologist that is going along with this, if you are an academic who is pushing this and teaching this, fuck you.
Yes.
3 times. And I want payback, but I don't want to get too crazy.
Well,
but if the grid breaks down, bro, and the zombie apocalypse is here, they better watch the fuck out because I got a list.
Yo, so Brian, it's 3. Do you want to?
Guys, I've got to go take my kung fu
That's
class.
fine, but
I'm already late. If my teacher
Kung
finds
fu
out,
class.
So guys,
he makes me do push-ups on my knuckles.
Brian's gonna leave.
Are we doing one more story?
We're gonna
or no?
Kelly's gonna come and sit and take his spot.
I need you for this one story.
I'm right here.
Okay, well, Brian, we'll do one last one, and then Brian has to go.
Hold on. Hello.
Yeah, hold on, guys.
$1 million? Call me when you're serious.
Dude, he's been doing that all day.
It was another deal.
I know,
it's another deal.
gone
That's how I
sour.
start. Whenever time they.
Well, they know your minimum is 10.
so
Why are
rich.
But they
coming
come in
at
with
one?
lame offers.
Dude,
like that.
that's like the third.
They know the min.
Hold on.
5 million? You're getting closer. Just kidding. See what I just did?
I don't
so that's
know.
what you
Why are
have
they
to do.
trying to lowball you?
I would do anything for $5 million.
I know, but I'm a businessman. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Brian Callen,
Yo,
Okay.
let me get to the last story. Well, the one more
Go
story,
ahead.
so Brian has to go, and I'll go right to
Hold
Brian.
on. Hello.
Oh God, here we go.
9
We're
inches.
doing 9.
Oh. Are you doing the woke
stupid joke
right now?
Yeah, you're doing the woke,
Okay,
right?
gotcha.
All right, guys. So Adam is going to talk about really fast.
Such a bad joke. Bad jokes.
Just sign the deal for 10 already.
Sorry.
Enough's enough.
Sorry.
Pussyfooting around, think they're going to get you for half.
So,
for $5 million.
Adam,
Unbelievable.
Adam, why
Sorry.
do woke women love terrorists? Tell us and then ask Brian so he can go.
Woke white women, the WWW.
Yes.
So, it's college graduation season. You've seen what's going on there around all these campuses out there?
Yes.
Typical summer, typical United States of America.
Love and laugh.
Typical white women loving terrorists.
Yeah, I love that.
They love them. Can't get enough of them. We're sort of making fun of this, but it's actually not that funny, and it's actually kind of weird what's going on out there. So we've seen the campus protests. I'm all for peaceful protests.
Sure.
Right? But these are not exactly your typical peaceful protests. It's college graduation season, what's going on out there? But then we're starting to see these women out there, largely women. There's men, there's women. The men aren't exactly alpha men. They're just sort of like the feminist men. They're going along with the women that are pro-Hamas, that are pro-terrorists. Bill Maher came out and he said, Bill Maher says, the left is now marching for the terrorists.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering
freedom fighters?
The freedom fighters.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what is happening here in society. Did you ever think that the woke white women would be in love with the Islamic terrorists? I never saw that coming. So, and it got me thinking, what the hell is actually happening right there? And I did some research. It's almost like the Stockholm syndrome where you fall in love with your captor.
Yeah.
So I found this article right here. It was called Strange Bedfellows, the American Woke Progressives and the Islamists are in bed together. They're pulling that up right there. There it is. Strange Bedfellows, how the Islamists and America's left are in cahoots. It's like, what is happening right here? So I went down this rabbit hole of like, let me get some research here. And I know this is what I want you to say a little bit to weigh in on this, Bryan Callen. Sometimes you think that political ideology or socio-political ideology is linear. All right, you got the left, and then you got the far left, and you got the right, and you got the far right, and they're diametrically opposed to each other. Well, what this horseshoe theory, this political horseshoe theory, basically suggests is that the far left lunatic fringe, the communists, the hardcore collectivists, Marxists, communists, which our friend Humberto knows all about.
And hates.
Yep.
Is way closer to the far right fanatical Islamists, jihadists, than you would think. So do you have the image of like the white girls protesting for Gaza? You've seen the whole gays for Gaza, where we know, free Palestine.
They all look the same. They're really hot. They're really hot.
They're just white, dreary white girls, and they're rooting for
Hamas.
These guys.
But
You would think
I'm
that-
actually happy that these photos of them are blurry.
Yes, we
'cause they
blurred out the photos so you didn't see what they were.
Yeah, we don't want them. We don't want to give them HD look. We don't want them to look handsome.
That. So I'm thinking, what kind of Stockholm weird syndrome is this? And then this article basically shed some light on it. So the extremes are actually more similar to what you think, and there's actually a lot of data there that would show this. So it's kind of like. Like the girl that's like, I hate my dad, my rich white dad. I hate him. So I'm going to date the bad boy.
Of course.
I'm going to show him. These are the bad boys. That these white college privilege, Harvard, Columbia, Cornell, Cal, USC, all these girls are now like, all right, Dad, I hate white men so much.
I'm going to go for
I
terror.
hate America so much. Meet Muhammad.
Yeah.
My new boyfriend.
Yeah.
But I think some of it is also the way a lot of kids are educated. So, you go to college, the idea is to go to college to learn how to think, not what to think.
Yep.
And that's changed. But also, I think a lot of high school kids and even before that are being taught what? You have to go out there and change the world. Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot to sort of rail against in the United States. You got plenty of food. You got plenty of, you can speak your mind.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to make money if you're not an idiot. There's all kinds of things. And so you've got to look at why are we so lucky? And why are some places struggling? Now, the very, very elementary way of looking at it is, and they'll be taught, I was taught this in school by my liberal professors and teachers. The United States is the exploiter, and that's why you have the banana republics and things like that. They never talk about the systems of government that are put in place that are the reason that you have such prosperity. If you look at Australia, for example, which was an isolated island, which was a convict colony, the fact that they are a rule of law, the fact that they have this parliamentary system, the fact that, again, power doesn't reside in one person's hands, that you get to benefit from your own ingenuity, that it was the Western ethos. It was embracing Western thought, Western philosophy, both political and philosophical, that gives birth to plenty. And these kids are not being taught that. Girls like that are being taught that there is what? There are oppressors and oppressed, power and powerless. That's why third and fourth wave feminism is very different than first and second wave feminism. First and second wave feminism was like, we just want the same equal rights as men. At first, they just want property rights to be able to divorce.
Vote.
We want
They wanna vote.
reproductive rights. We want all these things. Now, it's third wave feminism came along and said, men want to kill you. And there is a war between the sexes. Men want to kill you. I'd rather run into a bear than a man. All those kinds of things, right?
Yep.
And now you've got these gals. They're not really interested in the nuances. They don't know what intifada means. They don't know what how Hamas started. They don't know what river. They don't know what sea. They don't know anything about the geography. They don't know anything about the history. They certainly know nothing about the history of the Jews, where the Zionist movement was born. None of that. They're not interested in that. What they want to be is part of a cause. It gives them something to fight against. It gives them somewhere to place their guilt. And there's a lot of guilt to being a white or a privileged American going to the best universities in the world. They don't believe in borders, but they certainly are part of an institution where those walls are very expensive to get behind. I mean, to the tune of $100,000, but my dad's paying for it, so it's fine.
Exactly. And this is why I wanted you to weigh in on this, because Kelly, I just sent you a picture. I'm sure you can pull that up. But, so I was just in D.C. and I saw a lot of these protests. But you're absolutely right. This decolonialization, intersectionality, oppressed versus oppressor, 1619 Project. There I am. I tried to kill them with kindness. I'm speaking with a white liberal. I mean, so far left. I was like, hey, what you doing here, hun? Or I was like, hey, lady, what's... She goes, why'd you assume my gender?
No, my God.
Obviously, you're a beautiful woman. I just assumed.
Yeah,
and then, of course, the other guy.
You should have just said that really slow. You should have gone like this. Should have gone.
If you can show the guy with the flag, he looked maybe of Middle Eastern descent. I don't know. I couldn't tell because he had a mask on his face. I go, interesting. I'm filming. I said, why the mask? He goes, there's a pandemic going on. I'm like,
oh, God.
Still?
Yeah.
There's still the pandemic.
What happened?
A lot of these people, aren't emotionally very well.
I have a whole video of this. But there's some similarities here. Number one, they hate the West and they hate Western values. We have it so good here that you're looking for things to...
That's what I was just going to say.
...to complain about. Victim
There's nothing going
culture,
on wrong.
Victim mentality.
Yeah.
So there's death to America. Who shouts death to America? Who's the leading death to America people out there?
Michigan?
Iran. Well, yes, in Michigan.
Michigan.
Michigan. But Iran had started, I think, North Korea had started. We talked about this on PBD podcast. Death to America, death to a West, trickles down to anti-democracy, anti-representative democracy, anti-Israel, and then the Jews have always been the canary in the coal mine. You've talked about that before. But this intersectionality of Marxist, communist collectivists and Islamics, jihadics, fundamentalists, it's like they're number 1 and 2 on the death scoreboard. Number 1 is the communists.
Yeah.
Whether it's Mao, whether it's Stalin, whether it's Lenin. I mean, they're killing it. They're number 1. Number 2, it's like, you want to complain about what's going on in Gaza? It sucks. Nobody wants to see kids. Why don't you call for a ceasefire in Sudan or in Syria or in Afghanistan
Yemen.
or Yemen, where there's been a civil war going? So I have to think, as I've talked about, no Jews, no news. Yeah, if there's no Jews killing the Palestinians here, don't worry about the hundreds of millions.
Do you know how many people how many Palestinians Hamas killed? Do you know that anybody who was a member
when they were elected in 2006,
anybody who was a member of Fatah? Yeah, I mean, they were thrown off roofs and killed. They were all
exactly.
So stop.
Nobody wants
it's
to
a
talk
criminal
about
organization.
That.
It's a criminal organization. They are responsible. They hijack all the food aid and everything else.
Here's some of the similarities, and I'm going to get up.
Go ahead.
So I kind of wrote down some. These are what are the similarities between the far left and the far right extremists? Number one, they love cancel culture. If you offend them,
cancel.
You know, some will silence you, some will literally kill you.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
You know, you talk too much, straight to jail. You don't talk enough, straight to jail.
Overcooked chicken.
Exactly. So if you offend them, do you remember the Charlie Hebdo thing? Like, of course. You can't draw a picture of Muhammad.
Oh, no.
I see pictures,
will machine
cartoons.
gun you to death.
Machine gun Kelly
dead.
would show up at your house. I see pictures of
Jesus. I see it all the time.
It's insane. So, God forbid you use incorrect words around these people. Number two, they have the government control of the media, state-run media, government control, nationalization of industry, of corporations. That's what they want.
Yep.
That's what's going on. Iran is, we know, the biggest advocate and ally of Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis, the Triple H, what I call them. They're the biggest outsourcers of terrorism around the globe. It all comes from Iran. Women, gender equality, we talk about this. These women, the gays for Gaza, that makes no sense to me. The women here, good luck going outside, honey, without your hijab or your ninja outfit in Iran. We saw the 2022 rise up there. They killed them all in Iran. It's just the double standard here is insane. The DEI in Iran and these theocratic regimes, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, there's no diversity. It's all the men that run society. There's no equity. There's no equality. What's the last one? Inclusiveness. Women are second-class citizens in this world. So I'm just saying, when the women are rooting for the oppressor.
Well, they might be. You have to be, again, fair, because a lot of these girls and guys and these students are actually outraged at the civilian deaths, right? So they're looking at that. So it's some of them do make a big distinction between Palestinian civilians and people and Hamas. But you have to remember this. So do half of the Israelis out there. Before October 7th, I promise you, you could find a ton of Israelis who not only went into Gaza, who worked with Gazans, who worked with Palestinians, who were vehemently against the far right's illegal settlements of the West Bank. I went to the West Bank. I can tell you they were there. There were a lot of Palestinians, especially in the Labor Party. Remember, the Knesset is broken up into the Labor Party and the Likud. Likud is a right-wing party. Yeah. Netanyahu, to stay in power, had to align himself with all the hard-line.
There's a further right party than the Likud party.
They're
That's
like
why he stays
the
in power.
Talmudic crazies. Yeah. So, and he'll pay a price for that. But either way, I think at the end of the day, there is a distinction. But to your point, Adam, everybody was very quiet when all those Muslims were killed in all those other countries. They were very quiet when Hamas was killing a whole bunch of Palestinians that they haven't talked about. Every time I see those guys protesting, why are you not talking about the hostages?
Yes.
Why are you not talking about the fact that Hamas came over and unprovoked did some horrible and unspeakable things? You got to talk about that, but they don't.
Thank you, Brian.
And you're calling them freedom fighters, which means you are making a moral equivalency and you are bankrupt intellectually, historically, and morally. I got to get out of here.
This is why I'm so offended. This is why. I love that. This is what I ask these people, all these protesters. They go, "Oh, so you're protesting against the innocent civilians?" I'm with you. I don't want any innocent civilians. What psychopath wants innocent civilians other than the jihadists?
Yeah.
What other war protests, anti-war protests have you been to? Have you been to any others?
No.
And the answer is always zero.
No.
None.
Yeah.
So the double standard is so ridiculous to me. I get it. Nobody wants to see innocent Palestinians. But by the way, women and children, there's women suicide bombers. By the way, children, you could be 17 and attack, just like the guy out in Australia that attacked
of course, the stabbing guy.
They're just hypocrites.
It's just the moral equivalency of a democracy that's trying to defend themselves and a terrorist organization that's trying to commit genocide is crazy to me.
Once we roll Greta Thunberg out for this cause after the climate change, we're done.
Once Greta came out, we're done.
Once Greta is done, straight to jail.
But guys, listen, Brian, Adam, I love you to death. Brian, the fact that you took off the modeling, you canceled it just to come here. I appreciate you more than you know.
Got to shoot right now.
So you have another modeling shoot, and then after the shoot, he's performing with me and Rob at the Dania Beach Improv. This weekend, tonight, two shows on Saturday, one show on Sunday, the Lord's Day. but you have a really good relationship with God, so it's okay.
Right now, I'm going to do some tasteful nude series.
A nude series.
Where I pose on a log and I wear cat ears. It's amazing.
Cat ears.
It's called Man Cat.
Oh my God! No, we'll tell you after the show. But
it's called Man Cat, and the subtitles is "That's Not a Tail."
I'm getting an insurrection.
All right, guys, thank
now.
you guys so much for tuning in. Brian, just let me see, thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed already, there's a subscription button right there. Where is it? Subscribe, hit the like button. I love you guys to death. Take care of yourself. Have a great weekend. Be safe.
Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day. God bless all of you, all your family.
United States of
America that have served. Brian, I love the flag on your shirt. And we'll see you guys next week.
America.
Peace and love.